For those of you who don't remember, there was a shooting in Portland where an Antifa member, a member of the organization that is known as Antifa, I know they like to pretend that they're not an organization, but they actually are. They are an organization, shot a member of Patriot Prayer in Portland. Now, the shooting looks unprovoked from what we know now. It looks like the person that they ended up shooting had a, like pepper spray on him, and that this guy was seen multiple times like pulling out his gun whenever he saw Trump supporters, right? So this guy shot him. He ran. He has a bunch of criminal history, including unlawful possession of a gun. So the gun that he had, he was arrested a month before. So he knew for a fact that the gun that he had was illegal. He said he was 100% Antifa when he was on Twitter, and a bunch of other pledge of allegiance to radical left wing organizations. He had a neck tattoo of a black flower fist. Like, so obvious leftist, right? Obvious violent history, obvious history of bringing an illegal gun to places where he was not supposed to bring it. And it was a pistol, so unlike in the Rittenhouse shooting where everybody could see he had a gun, this was a concealable weapon. So, this guy shot a Patriot Prayer member in the chest. It looks like the Patriot Prayer guy did not have a gun. It looks like he had pepper spray. And it looks like he had every reason to believe that this guy had pepper spray because the Trump people came to Portland and they were pepper spraying people. They weren't shooting them. So he shot him in the chest. This guy died. He died on the internet. And somebody's saying that this guy is not Antifa. Yes, he is a member of Antifa. Stop. Like, we have his whole history. They're actually trying to rewrite, now that he's dead, his history and his association with Antifa. But if you actually remember that BLM guy who kicked the random guy who tried to stop him from beating up a trans woman in the face, the one that crashed his car, that didn't try to hurt anybody, Marquise Love, I made a video about him. That guy, this Antifa guy right here, was actually arrested in another instance with Marquise Love, the Black Lives Matter guy that ended up kicking that guy in the face for no reason. Like the real tough guy that ran around the back of him and kicked him in the side of the head when he wasn't looking. Like he had a 30-1 advantage in the fight and he still sneak attacked the guy. They were actually arrested together in a separate instance like a couple months prior. So, this guy shoots a Patriot Prayer member, makes a run for it. Vice gets contacted, hears that this guy wants to talk to them. They send out a reporter, they send out a camera crew member, and they interview him. And in this interview, it is incredibly uncomfortable because it turns out that this guy decided to do basically a suicide by cop, in that when he was pulled over by the U.S. Marshals, he took out a gun and opened fire on the SUV of the U.S. Marshals, according to witnesses, and then the Marshals shot him and killed him. So this is basically his manifesto that Vice delivered the day that he died. That's what's going on. All right, we all good? Now, there's like a lot of context around it, but I'll let this weird person explain it.
A protester linked to Saturday's shooting in Portland speaks to us about what happened that night. To be clear, he hasn't been arrested or charged.
He has been arrested or charged.
Didn't go looking for him, and we have no information where he is now.
Yeah, but you kind of do. Like, you had to send a crew out to one state, so that's a lie. But okay.
He went to a freelance journalist, Donovan Farley, who brought it to us. We then sent a freelance filmmaker to tape the sit-down.
Where did we send him? We don't know, because we don't know where this guy is, and we're not going to tell anybody. I mean, he already shot somebody. Why would we tell anybody? What we're Vice. We're the cool. We're cool news. Like, very cool. Very cool news. We're Vice. We're Vice. Very cool. Very cool. Yes, I'm messing with my webcam. But yeah. Yeah, linked to it, as in he did it. What's really funny is this guy is like, he doesn't even really deny it. Like, he doesn't outright say that he did it, but he doesn't deny it. So, okay, that's the background of the interview. This video is actually like YouTube clickbait bullshit. So, it's 11 minutes and 23 seconds. It's supposed to be an interview of this Antifa guy. The opening has some words from him that they use for the teaser. But like, look at this right here. Like 2 minutes in, it's this woman. 2 minutes in, then it's this guy again. Then it's this guy again, 3 minutes in. It takes till 3 minutes and 30 seconds for them to actually talk to him. And then they only talk to him for a very brief amount of time in this, and it's back to over here. So they have like a 4-minute YouTube video that they stretched out to an 11-minute video, which is like what YouTubers do when their content is not long enough to sufficiently fill the ad requirements. Thank you, by the way, for the Twitch Prime subscription. So most of this video is just hot garbage and a waste of time.
Understanding what's going on.
I had no choice.
He says he had no choice.
I mean, I had a choice. I could have sat there and watched them kill a friend of mine of color.
Yeah, so you notice the Black Lives Matter fist right here, and also that he's lying about what's going on. I'm also going to scroll down because I think, if I remember correctly, they actually... Let me give this a dislike. I think if I remember correctly, they actually show the close-up of his body. So, what I'm going to do for that is... Let's see. I will take away the visual of the Firefox. Or no, actually, you know what? Here. I will go right here. And then I'll go to full cam. And I'll play the audio, right? For the time being until I can make sure I clear that point.
But I wasn't going to do that. You know, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Alright. You know what? Let me pull this back up. And if I see that point, I'll just swap it back. So, scene. Okay. So if we get to anything graphic, I'm just going to do that. Yeah, he says his friend of color. Let's see. Let's go back right here.
Mine of color. But I wasn't going to do that. You know, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
First of all, this guy's 48 years old. He has a Black Lives Matter power fist on his neck. He looks like a drug addict. Like, who are we fooling here? Like, there's something wrong with him. He's way too skinny. And to make this worse, this guy is the father of an 11-year-old girl. Remember, maybe a day after this interview, this guy's going to decide to go out by suicide by cop or go out in a blaze of glory. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what this guy's going to do. And look at how he's dressed. Like, this is what he went out in, basically.
My name's Michael Forrest Rynell.
So they have the Trump people, they have them there, and they're showing them being vulgar, right? Because like the whole point of this segment, if you guys don't understand it, if you're not following, is the Trump supporter kind of had it coming. Like he kind of deserved it. That's the whole point of everything that they said on the internet. And it's funny because he's like, I had no choice. The guy was going to pepper spray a friend of his of color, which, by the way, is not somebody that's even seen in the altercation. He was going to pepper spray this guy to death because that's what he had on him.
Born and raised Portland, Oregon, 48.
Yeah, he's Portland, Oregon, born and raised. Unsurprisingest fact of all.
Years old. You know, lots of lawyers suggest that I shouldn't even be saying anything, but I feel it's important that the world at least gets a little bit of what's really going on because there's been a lot of propaganda put out there. What I will say is that I felt that my life and other people around me's lives were in danger.
Yeah, sorry, that's not a standard for self-defense. A reasonable person in that same position would have to conclude that you acted correctly in that scenario. But he's like, I felt that my life... He's like looking for a fix. He's shaken up. Like, it's crazy. He's like, I felt my life... Oh, and people of color in the area were in grave danger. If I didn't shoot that man holding the pepper spray, we would have died. You know what's funny is that one of the guys, and by funny I mean not funny, is that one of the Patriot Prayer's friend, that guy's friend, actually goes and sees his friend get shot and goes to check on him immediately thereafter. That was the guy closest to the guy who got shot in terms of, like, a relationship there. He didn't have a weapon. If you shot my friend right in front of me and I had a weapon, I'd probably try to stop you, right? But they didn't have weapons. They didn't have deadly weapons. They had pepper spray. That's what they had. Remember, they came to pepper spray and, like, paintball the Antifa and the BLM people if they came after their trucks. Like, that's what they were doing. This was, like, really, like, fraternity pranking Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Thank you for the the follow. I do appreciate that. So they didn't have deadly weapons. Some of them probably had guns, but none of them were pointing a gun at him. That's I haven't seen any evidence to indicate that. If there's evidence to indicate that, send it to me, and it changes the math on this situation. But yeah.
And I felt like I had no choice but to do what I did.
No choice but to do what I did. He looks crazy. His eyes are bloodshot. This is a nuts person.
I wasn't even aware of what was going on. I was actually out with my son. We were driving through town and we...
So, I've seen this interview before. Just remember he said, I wasn't aware what was going on. And now he's going to tell you that he saw the Trump people coming into Portland in this like little motorcade right here. And then he decided to drop off his son, which must be his other child that he decided to abandon by going out in a blaze of glory like a total punk, and grab his gun and go to Portland because he saw all these Trump people driving, right? So him saying he didn't know what was going on, total nonsense. He's about to contradict that right now, this very second.
Happened to see hundreds of trucks with flags on them, and so I notified my friends of what I'd seen, and finished what I was doing with my son, got home, and then received a phone call saying that it might be a good idea to come down there. Security may be needed.
Security may be needed. I'm a fake security guard. And I gotta come down there. I might be needed to protect people from Trump people having Trump signs. I can't figure this one out. Alright. Look at him. He's got a dopey look on his face, right? And again, this is a guy who's been arrested already in Portland riots, attacking people that he decided on his own were Nazis. He was arrested with Marquise Love in a previous incident. He was arrested multiple times for possessing the gun that he had on him illegally. But, you know, whatever, right?
Not knowing what that would entail. I had no idea what I was going into. I used to really love this country, and I respected the flag and everything that it represented. But because of all this, every time I see a big truck, especially with a flag on it, I immediately think that they're out to get me.
So right now he's throwing paranoid delusions. Like, whenever I see a big truck with a flag on it, I immediately think they're out to get me. Like, what are we even talking about? Like, he never loved his country? No, I think he was in the military at some point. He might be somebody who, you know, had some psychological problems that are related to service or something. That does happen. But, yeah, the idea that, like, I used to love this country, and then now, whenever I see a truck, I think people are out to get me. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not a rational response. A truck with a flag makes you think that people are out to get you? Like, what are you talking about? What is this nonsense? What are you trying to say? Excuse me. Hello? What are you trying to say? I don't understand you. It just triggers me. Trucks. He didn't even shoot somebody in a truck. He shot a guy walking. So, you know.
There were 600 vehicles. Who knows how many were rolling through downtown, but like I said, when I showed up, I saw more of their vehicles than real citizen vehicles.
I saw more of their vehicles than real citizen vehicles. Question. Do you think that having a pickup truck is not a real citizen vehicle? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And maybe you would see more real citizen vehicles in downtown Portland if for 90 straight days you guys weren't smashing the windows and setting on fire those real citizen vehicles. Like, maybe you'd see a little bit more of those. You know, maybe that's why. That's why you might have been a little bit outnumbered. Also, whenever a group of cars is driving through somewhere and you're in the area where that group of cars is driving through, chances are you see more of the group of cars than other cars. It's like when the taxi cabs are all headquartered in one area. It's like, I can't believe I saw more taxi cabs at taxi cab headquarters than normal non-taxi cabs. What even is this? It's like a group of cars were all on the road at the same time, and there's limited space on the road, and that group of cars was there. But I remember other cars also drive by there in different times, but because they couldn't physically be compressed at the same time in the same space, those group of cars seemed like they were more than the other cars that I saw. But let me shoot someone. Like, what kind of nonsense is that?
It felt like the beginning of a war.
It felt like the beginning of the war. See, this is the thing that I actually think is incredibly irresponsible, if I'm being honest, about platforming this guy, is that he's like really building up the rhetoric that it's like a civil war, it's like a war, and war's coming. I feel like my shooting this guy was the first shot in a war. Like, you shouldn't platform people that are going to go out. You shouldn't platform people that are in this desperate of a position that clearly look like they're trying to go out in a blaze of glory and let them talk about their ideology and what they want to achieve. Because what ends up happening is Vice airs this, and the same day that this airs, that he knows this is out there, all of a sudden, this guy goes out in a blaze of glory, does a suicide by cop. So now this message is his martyr message, and Vice aided and abetted him in doing that. That's nonsense. You should not have done this. It's irresponsible. Stop blocking the road. I mean, come on, guys. This is like a... What is this? A 2-ton vehicle? A 2.5-ton vehicle? Like, stop blocking the road. I'm amused that they have pepper spray with them, too. Like, and they have, like, that really, like, strong firing pepper spray. They're like, in case somebody's gonna come at our cars, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? They're like, obviously we don't want to kill people or hurt them. Let's pepper spray them in the face if they start coming at our cars. Right? Like, get out of the road. You guys need to be not in the road. Like, you're creating a violent situation when you're blocking traffic, especially when you're blocking traffic not just generically, but you're blocking it specifically because you don't like the political ideologies represented in the vehicles that you're blocking. Like, it's not a good idea. So I'm glad that nobody was really hurt here. Some people got pepper sprayed, but, like, stupid leads to stupid.
It was a free-for-all, and the police were letting it happen.
Oh, the police were letting it happen? I'm sorry, did I just hear that right? The police were letting it happen? In your F the police, defund the police, abolish the police riot? The police weren't helping you? Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, it's almost as if we should have the police doing this. Like, we should have the police interceding in these situations. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. But you're upset, the anti-police guy, that the police weren't there. Okay, I got it. We should have had the police. The police were just letting it happen. I mean, police, am I right? This is kind of the police's fault. Like, the fact that I walked up to a guy with a pistol concealed and then shot him in the chest and then dipped and fled the state, that's really on the police more than anything, right? Like, I mean, I killed somebody, and I've been repeatedly attacking people, and I've actually been arrested for physically attacking people that I disagree with politically, and then released due to the fact that Portland's mayor is basically one of the weakest mayors in the entire country, and he lets out criminals that he should hold in. So I attack people with an illegal weapon that I'm not supposed to have in my possession, get arrested for it, and then I get released immediately, no charges filed, and then I do it again repeatedly, same illegal gun, repeat offender, and then the police didn't stop me there. So kind of it is the police's fault, right? I mean, the police... What were they thinking? What were they thinking letting a scumbag like me on the street? Like, police, come on. Like, is it really cold in Washington right now? Like, you see him wearing a sweater, and he's like, you know, like, he's doing all these signs of addiction. You know what I mean? Alright, so, I think this is what I was talking about earlier. So, let's do full cam. I'll leave the audio, but I'm not going to play the video, just because Twitch terms of service. I know it's really far away, and it's stupid, but, you know, we gotta follow the rules.
right after it happened, what did you panic? Did you run?
Well, honestly, those are a bit of details I probably don't want to get into, other than just simply saying that, I realized what had happened.
Yeah, so he's not trying to explain what he did. Obviously, he did run. They're in another state. There's also 2 gunshot sounds. I'm wondering if he shot him first or if there was any, any kind of thing. Somebody's saying I should review the Destiny Vosh debate. I actually can't do that. Vosh is banned from Twitch because he said some horrific things about Israel. So you can't even show Vosh on Twitch. So if I were to do that, I'd have to do that on YouTube. Let's see. Let's play this.
I was confident that I did not hit anyone innocent.
I was confident that I did not hit anyone innocent, because this guy disagreed with me, therefore it's okay.
And I made my exit.
See, this is why I wanted to make sure I was obscuring the video, because right now you're seeing his friend run up to him and asking him if he's okay.
And just to...
You know what's freaking horrible, too? So, there's a moment in there where his friend's in a panic, right? Because his friend's just been shot in the chest. So he rolls him over to check if he's okay, realizes he's bleeding. Somebody says medic, right? So he goes to move up to let them go through. It's an Antifa medic, right? Which means a completely and totally and utterly useless person. So this Antifa medic goes over to try and help this guy, right? This guy sees that this isn't a real medic. This is somebody unqualified and with the same ideology that just shot his friend. And he shoves her off. And they're like, what are you doing, man? It's like, excuse me. Like, what are you doing? Like, get out of here. So then the real medics show up, people with actual training and skills. And they can't save the guy. And then there's video of that. Like, imagine dying in the street of Portland and, like, people are videotaping it from the roof. You have Antifa medics coming over trying to, like, they have, like, a bottle of water and some rags. Like, they're gonna dump water on your bullet wound. Completely freaking useless. Like, yeah, the police were derelict in their duty, but they were derelict in their duty by letting Antifa riot for 90 straight days in the city of Portland. And that's on the mayor of Portland, who, for some ungodly, idiotic reason, is also the police commissioner. I've never heard of a city that runs it like that, where the elected mayor is also the police commissioner. Usually they appoint somebody who's qualified to be the police commissioner, not just the mayor does it.
Reiterate, you feel that it was totally justified?
Totally justified. Had I not acted, I am confident that my friend and I'm sure I would have been killed, because I wasn't going to stand there and let something happen. But they've...
Okay, I don't think they cut back to the footage, so I'm just going to show you his face. Let me just get this right. Okay. Trying to get around Twitch terms of service, guys. Alright. So, I just want you to see him say that he's 100% confident that it's justified, because I think this is important.
I am confident that my friend and I'm sure I would have been killed, because I wasn't going to stand there and let something happen. But
he's like, I'm confident that my friend and I would have been killed. I'm not going to just let something like that happen. Like, the way he's saying it, I don't believe he believed it. I think he came out there looking for a fight. He ended up picking a fight with this guy, and then he killed him in the streets. Like, I don't know who this friend is. Like, where's this friend who could come forward? Remember, he's on the run right now. They think he's a murderer right now. They sent the U.S. Marshals after him. If I was in a situation where somebody threatened my life, and then somebody saved my life, they saved me from the threat, obvious self-defense or defense of others, I would come forward into the public so that the marshals didn't go after them, right? So if he's telling the truth, if what's happened is exactly how he said it was, which, by the way, he's not, he's lying, this is a liar right now, then his friend should have came forward and said straight up, no, he saved my life, like, don't send the marshals after him. And called him and said, hey, turn yourself in. I got your back. Like, this is going to be rough, but I support you. Like, you saved my life. This guy's talking nonsense. This did not happen that way. This never happened that way. It's in the video. And Vice is just, letting him do it. And, you know, it's probably a scary situation if you're Vice, because remember, this guy was armed when he was ready to face the police. So if they don't comply, if they don't, you know, like, basically interview him, soft pedal every question to him, then he's probably going to get angry. This is a violent guy.
They've done is they're trying to make it look like we're all terrorists, and they're trying to make me look like a murderer.
You are a murderer. I mean, Antifa is a terrorist organization.
I've noticed that they keep saying that it's not clear that it's related to the protests. That's a lie.
Oh yeah, that is nonsense. But I guess it's not confirmed would be better, right? It wasn't confirmed that it was related to the protests, right? But we all kind of knew it was. So, you know. Antifa medic sounds like a class in RPG. This video made him look like a murderer. Well, no, he's a creep, and that's what makes him look like a murderer.
They know that it's related to the protests. Not to mention the fact that they say that they don't know who it was. That's a lie. Within an hour of Facebook and...
Yeah, they did figure out who he was real quick. So that's him right there, what I was talking about earlier, that he was pulling his gun out there. And, like, 4chan ended up figuring out who this guy was, by the way. Which is kind of crazy.
And Twitter and all that have my face and name labeled as the shooter. They want to paint a picture of Antifa having major involvement. A lot of
Antifa having major involvement in the Antifa riots? Oh, those mean right-wingers painting a picture of Antifa being involved in 90 straight days of Antifa rioting. What are we even thinking? I mean, he said he was called there because they needed him for security. You know, a thing that an organization would do. But Antifa having major involvement? Puh, puh. You know what's crazy about this? Patriot Prayer, after their guy got shot in the chest, a guy wearing a Patriot Prayer hat, got banned off of Facebook. Rose City, Portland Antifa, or the Antifa Rose group, whatever, it's still allowed to operate on Facebook. So Facebook banned the person banned the group that the person was affiliated with who got shot in the chest, and they are allowing the shooter's organization that praised this shooting, that said, yes, we're glad this person died, they allowed them to stay on their platform. Just think about that for a second. It's amazing.
people don't understand what Antifa represents. And
People
if you
don't
just look
understand
at
what
the
Antifa represents.
basic definition of it,
If you just look at the basic definition of it, it's anti-fascist. Antifa to anti-fascist. They go after the fascists. Where are the fascists? Nowhere. Are there fascists in America? I don't see them. Do you see them? Are they under this cup? Where are they? Anybody ever see the fascists that they're going after? Because it seems like they're always going after people who aren't communists. Like, that's their definition of fascist.
it's just anti-fascist, and I am 100% anti-fascist. I'm
100% anti-fascist. I mean, I shot a guy for disagreeing with me in the street. 100% anti-fascist. Also, you know what the new thing that Antifa's doing at these rallies? They're assaulting people and barring people, except for the people that they choose, from being able to record their events. So the anti-fascists, the people who are fighting fascism, want complete and utter forcible control over the press. Well, such anti-fascists, am I right? Just fighting fascism. But a free and independent press, that's fascism.
not a member of Antifa. I'm not a member of
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Antifa's an organization.
anything. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I see a civil war right around the corner.
Yeah, this is, again, stupid nonsense that Vice should have thought better of. Or at least hold off on this interview. Remember, when this was published, same day, this guy went and did a suicide by cop. He tried to go out in a blaze of glory. So he might have seen this, got his message out there, and then decided, I'm done. Because it looks like on his face, he's planning his own demise. Like, he's committed to the idea that he's going to die. Like, he's in for the idea of not being taken alive. And Vice is just putting this on there. Like, that's fine. It's no big deal.
That shot felt like the beginning of a war.
Just think about that. Think about how irresponsible it is to platform that statement by Vice. That shot felt like the beginning of a war. That shot was a murder. It was the act of a coward shooting somebody who they disagreed with politically. It's not the start of this epic civil war. It's not a statement. It's not anything that has any legitimacy. But they platform this guy. These are his last words. This is like the last thing, more or less, that he says in this segment. They put that out there. This guy sees it. It was out there earlier in the day, same day, or at least the promo was. And then he goes out in a blaze of glory trying to shoot at the marshals. Like, crazy. Insane. At least the Rittenhouse stuff, they published video that they had of Rittenhouse prior to him actually doing the shooting. So that's what happened with Rittenhouse. Now I don't know if this is going to get a little more violent or not. If it is, I'm really trying not to show you any violence from even Antifa on this.
We just heard from a man.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, that's basically it. That's normal, right? This platform, this guy, he's like, we just heard from a man who is let me hear what this little weasel guy's gonna say.
Who all but admits he killed someone at the protest in Portland this Saturday. The latest awful thing to happen in the name of making this country better. Vice News has been covering the rise in extremism around the world from.
We've been covering the rise in extremism around the world, just generic extremism. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. They just gave that guy a platform. No big deal. Nobody's gonna care. It's fine. Talk about the Rittenhouse case and how there's actually a solid legal case for self-defense. Get off the platforms. You're a scumbag. You're a dirtbag. Give this guy a platform before he goes and tries to martyr himself in his own mind. Yeah, who cares? Who cares? It's just, it's just the right wing. He just killed the right winger. It's not a big deal, right? Like, who cares about that? Yeah, I understand that the Antifa.com, somebody bought the domain and it redirects to JoeBiden.com. I get it. I get the joke. I'm not impressed by that. Lauren Chen is probably a fascist, according to Vosh. Yeah, they call her a fascist. That's true. It's in my video where I talk about Hunter Avalon, where he calls Lauren Chen a fascist, and then he's like, but Lauren admitted she's a fascist on Twitter. And then he posts a thing where Lauren's like, I've become more totalitarian as she's gotten older, right? And then he's like, I don't know about you, but free speech is a core value. Lauren's a fascist. Meanwhile, she's talking about on the political spectrum, because Lauren used to be a libertarian and she's become more of like a Christian conservative, still very libertarian leaning. That's what she was talking about. Like, he takes that little excerpt of a thread, and it's like, proof that Lauren's a fascist. Like, yeah, no. Garbage.